What's happening in Texas today is going to dictate the future of the Senate and Donald Trump's ability to get bills through the Senate in the second half of his second term. Incumbent John Cornyn is going up against Trump-endorsed Attorney General Ken Paxton. It's a well-funded race. In fact, Cornyn is outspending Paxton 10-1. There's all kinds of dark money going into the state, but Donald Trump's endorsement is going to stand strong. Let's break down this race because the polls close tonight at 7, and it's going to be critical to see if this endorsement for Paxton pulls him over the finish line, because if it does, it's not over yet for whoever wins. James Talrico, the most progressive liberal candidate that Texas has ever seen, well, he's going to be their opponent going into the midterm election cycle. Let's break down everything that you need to know.
Here we go. Cornyn versus Paxton. And the reason why you have this runoff is because of what happened on the 3rd of March, all right? Here were the results. Really good race between the two men at the top, but neither achieved 50%. Cornyn edged out Paxton by 26,000 votes. But look at the bottom candidate. That's Wesley Hunt, congressman, right? He had about...
By the way, it's important to note it was so close at this time because Trump had yet to endorse either of them. So the word was he was going to endorse either Paxton or Cornyn, not Wesley Hunt. So they floated to the top of the barrel. And in this instance, this is a bit misleading on how close it is. There's a number of different polls that are out there. Spending is in favor of John Cornyn at the moment. By far, he's outspending Ken Paxton, but Paxton seems to be leading in many of the early voting counties where he needs to be.
13.5 percentage points. Where do his voters go? There's some polling suggesting they go to Paxton, but you really don't know until the vote is taken, and we will find out later tonight. A couple keys right now. You always have to think about Houston, number one in terms of population at 254 counties. A lot of people living down there. You can see how the vote was split pretty evenly between Cornyn and Paxton. The other area, Dallas County up here. This is the second most populated county in the state of Texas. Cornyn was an easy winner there, despite the fact that Paxton grew up just north of Dallas in Collin County. But in Dallas County right now is Brooke Taylor, and she picks up the reporting to tell us what's happening so far today. Hey, Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Well, tonight is going to be a good old-fashioned Texas showdown here, and also really a test of President Trump's influence and the strength of the MAGA base. So four-term Senator John Cornyn, he is going to fight to survive a major challenge from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who's writing a late endorsement from President Trump. Cornyn running on experience and conservative results, while Paxton has embraced a more hardline Texas-first MAGA message. President Trump calling Paxton a, quote, true MAGA warrior who has always delivered for Texas.
It's definitely provided some new energy to my campaign, which was going well already, but we're kind of at a new level with his help.
And Cornyn, on the other hand, argues that Paxton's legal controversies and past impeachment make him just too risky for a general election.
So the impeachment that she's talking about really came from the state level legislature in Texas. And for anybody that knows anything about Texas, that legislature is driven by cronyism and driven by RINOs. They are not a MAGA or America First platform at all in Texas. And you would think that that wouldn't be the case, because for any of us that don't live in Texas, you'd be like, geez, it's cowboys and it's trucks and it's blue jeans. You'd think that this would be very similar to other states where American values and patriotic MAGA type issues are number one. Not the case in the legislature, at least. But let's dig a little deeper and understand exactly what makes Ken Paxton the perfect candidate for MAGA and the perfect replacement for RINO John Cornyn.
Look, I've been dedicated to voter integrity. I fought voter fraud. I was part of passing photo ID in Texas.
Right.
I defended it at the Fifth Circuit. I don't think there's a more important issue. And I think the president said it in his State of the Union address. I was there, and when he said that, that was the most important legislation that he is dealing with right now. And I think it could be the most important legislation in the last couple of decades.
I agree.
Because we can't stop illegals from voting, which that does. If we can't require photo ID, which photo ID is required everywhere.
Yeah.
And if we can't make sure that we have a mail-in ballot system that actually doesn't allow for massive fraud, which occurred in the 2020 election, we are not going to be able to defend any of our values. And other countries like China, that you just suggested, and Ukraine, have the ability to impact our elections, and that's not going to work for America.
Yeah. No.
So again, think about what Paxton is saying here. What he did is he led a coalition at the state level to get through many of the main tenets of the Save America Act that's now sitting on the desk of our Senate. So what we need more than anything is somebody who's done this, not just talked about it, not just done a commercial on it, and nobody has done that more than Ken Paxton. Texas, you have to get out and vote for Ken Paxton. He is who we need in the Senate. He would be an ideal candidate to replacing RINO John Cornyn. John Cornyn is not anything close to a MAGA or America First patriot. He is the definition of the swamp, and he's the definition of a RINO. Ken Paxton is not. Texas, do your part. And as I said in the opener, this is far from over. If Paxton gets over the finish line tonight in Texas, the most critical race, one of the most visible ones that we're going to be watching here on the Chris Locke Show, is what's going to happen with Paxton versus Talrico. Talrico is an extreme progressive left candidate. We'll break him down on a future video because some of his policies and some of his posturing in his soapbox stump speeches are so radical it makes AOC, Elizabeth Warren, and Nancy Pelosi blush.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
God is non-binary. There are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption. The American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us. Prophetic voices like Jesus have helped me reckon with my own whiteness, my own masculinity. Our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front. No need to sit and cry over, your whiteness or your masculinity. They're gonna call me a radical leftist.
Something that you love, that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children.
The Democrats have a weird candidate.
Low T Talrico, too weak for Texas.
Talrico is as extreme as it gets, and that's what we're going to see in all places other than Texas, fighting for the seat in making sure that America First and MAGA principles are represented well in Texas and in D.C. So Ken Paxton is your candidate. That's the breakdown on the race, and that's everything that you need to know about the stakes that are on this. Did I miss something? Let me know what you think of Ken Paxton. Do you agree that he's the ultimate America First and MAGA candidate and that he's deserving of Donald Trump's endorsement? I think hands down he is, and I think the only thing that concerned me is the delay in the endorsement from Trump, because a RINO like Cornyn doesn't deserve this delay. He needs to be pushed off, and that would have prevented this potential for Paxton to have to fight for his life at this special election that's closing tonight in Texas at 7. Let's see who wins. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We made it easy for you to do that. Just click over my left shoulder here, my face. That's the subscribe button. And we put 2 videos up here over my right shoulder that we think you'll love. Click your favorite, and that one's coming up next. We'll see you in the very next video.